that job, what were you looking to, surely it can't just be about going in there and clearing out all the driftwood. Were you bringing in your mates, or were you actually wanting to do something more special than bringing your mates?
Well, when I was after I'd got over realising I wasn't going to play for Leeds, and...
How old were you then, before you realised?
Well, when I was about 13, or 14, the non-vegetable diet didn't kind of... When I started playing football against bigger kids at secondary school, it became apparent my skills in that area weren't going to be selected by, whoever was the manager then. And no, after that, and probably Jimmy Adamson. Anyway, that's probably a relief, really. But I only wanted to be on the enemy. That was because there were no jobs available, so it wasn't like that was probably a good thing, really. And I've talked to your guest Alan McGee, who you had here before. I've talked to Alan about it, and if there'd been jobs, we would not maybe have done what we did. Sure. There was no choice, so you had to do what you believed in, and I still think that now. I think, if you've got obviously we're all beyond employment age, but if you're 14, 15, 16, and you've got a hobby or something that you're really passionate about, you've got more whether it's whatever it is. It could be something really serious, or it could be something that's entertainment orientated or whatever. If that's probably a better pathway to pursue for a career than settling down. Because if you're not going to make it when you're a teenager or in your early 20s, you're definitely not going to make it when you get older. So that's the time then to have a go at it. So it was just the job. It was the job, but I mean, it's a very rare thing. I only wanted one job, and I got it. So, I did it for 4 or 5 years, and it was pretty intense. It was great.
Flying off and...
The thing is, I didn't actually do a lot of that flying off, because just before I joined NME, Tony Stewart said to me, the editor of Sounds, he said, listen, you've got to remember, the only foreign trip I'd done at that point, apart from I'd gone abroad with the Three Johns and Pottery itself and a few sort of bands when you got in the back of the van to Holland. Tony said to me, don't take loads of free trips, only go abroad with a band if you'd interviewed them in Wolverhampton. And that fitted into my sort of puritanical outlook. So that fucked me. Yeah. Everyone else was going to see these really shit bands in Japan, and I was in Wolverhampton.
The good bands.
With Big Flame. I know, but once so later in life when I went to Japan, I really, Tokyo's better than Stourbridge.
Indeed it is.
Yeah. But got... Eventually I just ran out of bands to interview. I wrote about 50 covers in 5 years, and that ranged from the bands that I did again and again, which would have been like The Fall. I did Morrissey a couple of times. Public Enemy, my little boy's just getting into Public Enemy, so he's really surprised to find out that I know the singer Public Enemy. What are you doing talking to him? Sort of thing. And it was just fucking great. The Beastie Boys I interviewed 3 or 4 times. But I did get to the point where I just thought, I got bored of interviewing musicians, especially new ones that were, it's basically like going out with somebody because you fancy them, rather than, you like the record. Just because they made a good record doesn't mean that they're going to do it, they're quite interesting.
So what was the transition for you from getting bored and into doing other things, into writing about other things?
Well, also, what I didn't say is they didn't let me be the editor because I had a McGee. I had a big fight with McGee. That's in a lot of books, which he's fucking, even now he's telling the story wrong. What Alan doesn't put in is that he glassed me. He hit me in the face with a glass. It was a plastic glass, so I leathered him, and I was punching him about quite a lot, and he was quite surprised about that. And what he doesn't realise is Kevin Cummins photographed it all. So when I write my book, even though Alan and I are friends, I'm not going to say anything, I'm just going to put the pictures in. And I'd hit Terry Staunton with an iron bar. He was the news editor. So it was pretty disruptive. I had quite a lot going on in my sort of personal life, a lot of pressures, and my mum wasn't very well. And I was drinking a lot as well, because these events have endless... Yeah, but there was... everywhere I went, there was free drink. So, and it was, you know, music, journalism, alcoholism accepted, part of the badge. So, so they didn't think I was mature enough to edit the NME, so I left in a sulk, basically. I interviewed the Beastie Boys once more, did the Pet Shop Boys, did the Manics, who were great, and I did Bobby. That was it, I did those 4. They were about the best people to interview, and then I left.
And then you stropped off?
Well, I didn't strop off, but I wrote a long letter, and...
oh, God, well, give us some edited highlights of that long letter that you wrote. Or are you saying that?
I can't. I found it the other day.
Oh,
I'm moving house, so we've got boxes and boxes of stuff from all this era.
Well, I tell you what,
it's irrelevant, really.
Paraphrase it a little bit. Then.
I should be the editor, not him. Would have been easier on a postcard than.
Was that the standout line?
Than right. Well, I'm friends with the guy who it was, so I'm not going to go on too much about it. But he's on TalkSport as well, and but he couldn't hack it after a year. He went off, he left, and they rang me and said, do you want to come back and do this? And I hadn't intended, I didn't think, I was like, no, I was having a brilliant time, because I'd kind of gone from school, unemployment, my mum being ill, starting drinking a lot, having this really intense job, which was brilliant, but also I had a lot of responsibility. I've never had a job.
Yeah, yeah.
The first time a PR rang me up, I genuinely didn't know who they were, or what they wanted, and why they were asking me if I wanted tickets for who I was sending to do the review of, it was a Rough Trade PR rang up. You know, you've got to remember, the same way Stock Aitken and Waterman were running the playlist of Radio 1 in the 80s. Yeah, sure. Rough Trade were controlling what was going into NME. Yeah. And so it was pretty, you know, I didn't really know, I didn't have any social skills of any sort whatsoever. And yeah, so it was a sort of, how did I get onto that? Anyway, so I left the NME. That was it. When I left, I started managing this band, and they were called Fabulous. They were fabulous by name, but not by nature.
I know. It was one of the things I had in my mind.
And we had but the thing is, a lot of people left school, went to university, fucked about, and then went unemployed or got jobs. I'd gone from being skint, selling my fanzine, to getting the only job I wanted, which was really intense, which I didn't make easy for myself because of the way I was. And then when I stopped, the Beastie Boys had started giving me this grass, the government grass they called it. They reckon it was the grass the government was making. So I'd started relaxing a bit. And I hung out with this band for about a year, and we just had a brilliant time. And you know, before, I'd been in the Riot House in LA, going and interviewing the Beasties, or you know, or choosing what went on 49 of the 50 covers a year. And suddenly I was just hanging around in the back of a van with a shit band that nobody cared about, having a great laugh. And actually a lot of people, I think, had gone through that, just who were relaxed in life anyway, or who were, you know, when they went to college. I'd never done that. It was all been quite intense. So when they called me up and said, do you want to come and talk about being the editor? I was like, nah. Because I think, you know, I was lying on top of a van coming back from Southampton, like doing a gig, being driven by a leather-clad cowboy called Steve. You know, and we were taking turns to see who could last on the top of the van, or who would fly furthest enough on the M4 when you hit the brakes on the hard shoulder. And I was winning because I had leathers. And that's the sort of thing, you know, we didn't have enough money to pay anybody, so it was all performance-related PDs. You know, if you go in that lake, you can have 10 quid. The only 10 quid the band had. So it was just a fucking brilliant time. And it was a real relief, you know, to have gone from, you know, not really having to have a say about anything anymore was a relaxing, not having to have an opinion. And
but eventually they got you back in there, didn't they?
Yeah, but the thing is as well, I was doing some writing for the Sunday Times, so when I wasn't in the van, I was in U2's jet in Las Vegas, stood next to Jack Nicholson. That went up another gear when I was writing for the Sunday Times, doing freelance music writing. And so I was still having more of that high life. But mainly it was just vans that stank of fish in Wolves and Hull. We got arrested twice in one night in Hull.
What for?
Once was the attempted theft of a Roger Rabbit vending device. Charges were dropped. That was in Normanton, if anyone knows Normanton, just down the road. And the others, the boys were arrested under suspicion of being terrorists.
This is like back in the 80s, was it? Like
There had been an IRA threat, so they went round looking for anyone with a van. And me and the singer in a party with some students.
There's one, Roger Rabbit's in the back of it, must be.
So it was a brilliant time. And then, so the NME interview came up, and my mum had said to me, "You'll be the editor by your 25." And she died between leaving and this call coming. And I thought, technically, I think I maybe was just about to be 26 or something. So I thought maybe I should just go and do the interview. If she was alive, she might have said, "Go and do the interview." So I went and did it, and I got down to the last two. And during the final interview, they obviously, imagine the 18 months has passed, they think they've got rid of me, and I show up in a suit. That was even worse. And
was that on purpose, or why did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to shit them up a bit, And also, I knew that the bosses thought I wasn't mature enough. They didn't. Okay. There was a lot of other fighting. I'm told I'd chinned the security guard who wouldn't let me in the building because I'd ripped jeans. It's like I'd never even seen the Ramones, It's a music writer. I didn't work for Cookery Today or Marie Claire. And so I didn't get the fucking job. And during the interview, they said, do you want to do another magazine, your own magazine? I said, yeah. I'll have it like Hunter Thompson edits Arena. Because I'd started reading Arena.
Was that your pitch?
That's what I said. And I'd started reading Arena, but I used to feel about Arena exactly the same as I felt about the NME sort of 5 years before. So I sort of want to read a magazine like this. But I'm not bothered about the Tefal designers or Sir Norman Foster or Michael Heseltine or the sort of people that in those days they had on covers of things like GQ and Arena and Esquire. They were very staid and it was very similar to the feeling the NME that I should like this. Why haven't they got football in it? Why haven't they got comedians in it? Why haven't they got bands?